My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Now, today we had originally planned to have a couple on to talk about their role in a new film that we just created called Till Death Do Us Part. Till Death Do Us Part is directed by Tiara KJ Williams. It is the latest extension on the Black Love Blueprint series. If you want to know why we're talking about relationships, it's because relationships are critical for wealth and empire building and community building. And so to tie all this back in, you guys might have heard of something that I talk about, what I call the new paradigm for Black America. And we did a new paradigm tour a while back called Wealth, Education, Family, and Community, a new paradigm for Black America. We went to several cities. Minister Louis Farrakhan joined us for one of the events. Dr. Cornel West joined us for another event. Also, we had Dr. Steve Perry and some others. And we had conversations and analyses from leading scholars on the things that are necessary to build a strong Black community. And that's where the new paradigm model came from. Well, when you talk about family, you're talking about relationships, you're talking about healthy interactions with each other, you're talking about us doing the things that maybe you're encouraged to do when you watch Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka, which means things like getting therapy. And therapy and all these conversations are critical for us to figure out a way to get along. Now, I'm going to try to bring in Mr. and Mrs. Dixon and see if we've got some audio. If we don't have any audio, then I'll let them work on the audio end, and then we'll continue the conversation. So let's see here. Mr. and Mrs. Dixon, can you hear me? Oh, I know you all can hear me, but I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, you okay. So you're working on that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll continue the dialogue, and then when you all are ready, I can bring you back in. So just go ahead and work on that in the background. All right, so I put a hashtag B1 in the chat, hashtag B1. The Dixons are a great couple because they are actually the featured couple this week in the new film that we just released. We're letting you guys watch the film for free. We're not charging you any money to see it, but you got to come live, and we're going to watch it Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can register to watch the film at blackmovienight.net. Because as I mentioned to you guys know we're building a Black-owned movie industry, and this is not cheap. It's not cheap and it's not free, but we're raising the money. We're making it happen. We're getting things done. We're not just talking. And this is our latest project. And so let me see here if I can get Mrs. Dixon. And I see another little pop up here. So let me try this. Mrs. Dixon, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna boot this one out of here. There we go. All right, and Mrs. Dixon, okay, you there now?
Yes, we're
all
here.
All right, Mr. Dixon, how you doing today, sir?
Fine, sir. How you doing?
Doing well. So we did it. We got it. We got the audio to work. All right. Well, I'd like for everybody to meet the Dixons. Everybody say hello, Mr. and Mrs. Dixon. Mr. and Mrs. Dixon are one of the couples that we featured in this latest project called Till Death Do Us Part. The Dixons are Alfred and Shannon. That's their first names. Or Alfred and Sharon. I'm sorry, Alfred and Sharon. And they have been gracious enough to share their story. And I mentioned to all of you, and here's a little promo image that we created for the film. And the thing about this, about meeting the Dixons, and the reason I have so much respect for this couple is because these folks that have actually done it and been together for many years and held their family together through thick and thin. These are your new professors. These are your instructors. These are the people that you should be getting relationship advice from if your goal is to build a strong Black family. So without further ado, Mr. and Mrs. Dixon, where do you live? You live in San Antonio?
We live in the suburbs, place called Shirts.
Shirts, okay. And all right, so Shirts, so that's Shirts, Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay. And what year did you get married?
1979.
Okay, let me do some quick math here. Okay, so am I right when I say it's about what, 42 years this year?
Yeah, 42. In April, it was 42.
All right, so everybody say congratulations for this couple that has survived 42 years of marriage. I think that's wonderful. I love that. So where'd you meet?
We were both in the Air Force, new to the service. I had been in the service about 2 years, and I met a place called Simbach, Germany.
Germany, huh? So y'all met all the way over in Germany. Now, Mrs. Dixon, were both of y'all from Texas, though?
No, I'm a military brat, and so My parents retired in Idaho, and I went to college a little bit, and then I joined the military, the Air Force.
Wow, wow. Okay, so you so you said you're a military brat, Mrs. Dixon. Tell me about that. Were your parents, both your parents, in military, or just your mother, or just your father, or?
My dad was military. For me, it was the most awesome, great experience of my life, even my career. I did so much traveling, went to places that people just only dreamed of going, and met a lot of people, worked with a lot of cultures, diversity. Just, I had an awesome, awesome career.
Okay, and so were your parents? I like to just understand. I like to dissect and get the DNA of the relationship, because we're trying to understand what this looks like and how it's built. So, Mrs. Dixon, for both of your parents, were both of your parents married for your whole life, or what was
Yeah,
that story?
my parents have been married my whole life. My parents are still alive. They're well
Wow.
mid 80s. They have been married for
65 years.
65 plus years.
Wow. Woof. Oh my goodness. I think that's wonderful. So, Mr. Dixon,
Yes, sir.
what about you? Tell me about your parents.
My parents were they were not together, but I mean, I grew up with both of them, and they were great people. But I spent more time with my grandmother, my mother's mother, pretty much me, and some of my siblings. So it's
Okay.
both in our lives. I mean, it's just not a bad thing.
Now, were either one of your parents in the military too?
My father had been in the Army, and he got out and went back to college and was a school teacher, actually a band director for about 40 plus years.
Really? Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So now let me ask you about this. When Tiara KJ Williams, who directed the film, told me about your story, or she told me about you as a couple, I knew you two had been married for a long time, because I know that was the criteria on which we selected individuals, to participate in the project. And the reason is because we feel like if you're talking about building family, you got to learn from the original professors, the people that really know what's really going on and what it really takes. Because I don't know if you follow anything, all the stuff going on the internet, but there's a lot of fake relationship gurus out here that ain't never been married to nobody, ain't been in a relationship longer than 10 minutes, but teach you to talk a whole lot of smack, and they're teaching people how to destroy relationships. Well, I would never put up with that, and if he says that to you, then he ain't good enough, just all this crazy stuff. And I just kind of believe, if you want to learn how to do something, you got to learn from the people who've done it successfully. And so let me ask you this. Tiara mentioned to me that when you two got married, that your parents were completely against it. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's accurate. Very accurate.
Okay. Tell us about that. I'm gonna make y'all full screen so y'all can tell that story, because I'm real curious. I don't know about everybody else, but go ahead.
I'll go first, because mine probably had the most impact for me. My grandmother, like I told you, she raised me, and I had I called her. We were in Germany, and I called her long distance, and I said, "Mom, Granny, I met this girl." I said, and I'm engaged to her. And she said, "Well, where's she from?" I said, "Granny, she's from Idaho." My grandmother did a switch. She said, "Don't bring those Idaho potatoes here." And I said, "Well, Granny," and then I was trying to get her to talk to Sharon, and they would not do that. Now, there's some history there, because there were some things that we grew up with. I always worked, and I actually helped provide support for my brothers and sisters, my mother and my grandmother. I worked as a janitor for 4 years of high school. So I've never been a slug. I'm not lazy. And my grandmother knew that, but she explained later, but she said, I said, "Granny, you're not going to say anything to her?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, let me tell you one thing. I've tried to be a good son all my life, and I tried to always do what's right, and you taught me that." I said, "But this is one time that I'm going to defy you. I'm going to this girl and keep all my eggs in one basket." Because, back then, I was like, hey, I wasn't no slug.
but you saw the Idaho potatoes and got a taste for potatoes. Okay. I respect that.
My wife saw me, I mean, my girlfriend, or my fiance saw me that one day that I was hurt, I was mad, and I just really wanted to cry. And the only thing she saw me, she'd never really seen me boo hoo hoo hoo. But that day I had tears, a few tears come out of my eyes, and I was like hurt beyond. I told her right there, it's just me and you against the world. That's it. And we didn't have a long relationship, doctor. We didn't have a long relationship. I met her like March of 1978, and we got married in April of 1979. So it wasn't a long relationship.
Wow. Wow. So you two against the world, and here you are 42 years later.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Everybody, I'm speaking with Mr. Alfred Dixon and Mrs. Sharon Dixon. And this is our latest couple that we are getting a chance to learn from in the new film called Til Death Do Us Part, which is an extension of the Black Love Blueprint series. If you want to watch the film, you can watch it for free, but you got to join us live. We're going to show it this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at blackmovienight.net. That's where you can register to watch the film. We've been getting together every single week. We broke the film into 6 pieces, and we made it into a love and relationships masterclass where you can learn from those who really actually have proven that they know how to build a strong family and maintain that over many, many years. So let me ask you this, Mrs. Dixon, how did it feel? You know, so it sounds like the opposition to the marriage came mostly from Mr. Dixon's grandmother, correct?
No.
Oh, so your parents also had an issue with it?
Well,
okay. Tell me more.
It really hurt me because I'm really a sweet, kind person, and not just saying that, but I truly am. I'm a very caring person. For them not to even speak, like he'd get on the phone and they would speak to them, and I'd say, "Hello, this is Sharon. I'm so glad. I've heard so much about you." Silence, dead silence. So
Wow.
it bothered me. I understood why. It still didn't make me feel any better. I don't think it really had anything to do with me personally. I think it had to do with because he was part of the breadwinner for his family. And now here you're going to marry this woman, and she's probably going to take all the money and not.
Oh, so it's like a battle over the resources. So in a way, it's almost, I mean, I've seen this. So Mr. Dixon, so your father wasn't in the house. You were kind of the man of the house. Is that accurate? Or
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Really? Okay. So not to forgive me for saying it this way, but it almost sounds like you were kind of taking somebody's husband, kind of. I don't know. I mean, I've seen that happen where the man is the breadwinner and the girlfriend comes along, and the women in the house are like, wait a minute. This man, this lady's going to take the resources. I've seen that happen on multiple occasions. Is that accurate? I hope I didn't sound too crass by saying it that way.
I think it's a little different. I think that I watched my dad do similar things too with his mother, his sisters, his brothers. He was always dutiful as a son. And he always tried to make sure everybody else had their needs met. I saw, and my grandmother and my parents, I had the same thing. My mom would entrust me with the younger ones. I couldn't go out and play and do all this other stuff. I was always a grown man, pretty much. I could stand on my own 2 feet. I could think. I could run a household. I learned how to cook, clean. I mean, for me I can run a household. Change diapers, I can do it all. I did my siblings, and out of respect for me, I could tell them and counsel them and tell them, sit down, let me talk to you. They give me that authority.
Interesting.
They give me the authority and the respect. Somebody, we had a death in the family, and I took one of my friends from Baton Rouge. He came with me, and we pulled up at the fish fry at the old home place, and I pulled up in my truck, and as I was walking, the people, some of them I didn't even know. They would open up a hole for me and my friend. And he said, "Man, who are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do I got to kiss your ring or something? You'd like a Don of the mafia or something." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You didn't recognize?" I said, "No." And said they were doing some other stuff, and and they moved that way on the backside of the property. I mean, there were some things that I like. Well, they just didn't let me see any of that stuff.
Interesting. Huh. Well, so Mrs. Dixon, how did your parents feel about the marriage? Like, were they okay with it or not okay? How did they respond?
My dad, I'm the favorite. I'm the daddy's girl out of the 5 kids. And they'll tell you, and we all laugh about that, but I am the favorite. He did not want me to get married. I had big plans. I always wanted to be like my daddy. I wanted to join the military. I wanted to be a nurse, and I wanted to be a teacher. And at that time, I was a nurse, and I joined the military. But I was young, and so my dad just thought that, I don't think it was particularly him per se, but it was any person at that time that my dad did not want me to be married. So when we were getting married, we were just going to fly back to the States, go to New York, get married, and then go back to Germany. Well, when we got to New York, my uncle was there, and he said, that is not a good idea because Mackie, that's what he called my dad. They called him Mackie. And so he talked us into going home and getting married. And so when we went home to get married, I want to say this because I love his expression. I always knew I was going to marry him. And I knew this because we stayed in a 2-story apartment dorms in the military. And I was looking out the window and I seen him across the street. Well, anyway, little hat, and he pulls up his pants. And I told my roommate, I said, Carol, come here, quick. I said, I don't know who that is, but something tells me I'm going to marry him.
Wow. That's really interesting you say that, because I've heard that story on many occasions, actually, from different people. My father says that about my mother. My parents, they're I think they're hitting 47 years this year. And my father, and he was a guy, he liked the ladies, he grew up during that whole blaxploitation pimp culture, and just had all the women chasing him down and everything. And there was something about my mother that made him say, okay, I want to marry her. And he said that to his friend, and it almost seems surreal, to say that about somebody you don't even know yet.
That's true,
but there was something, and and the truth is, when I met my wife, I felt that same way. I did it not quite like it was a little different, but it was like a spark, just like magic. Like I can remember that moment, like it just happened 5 minutes ago. Like you focus, you zoom in, you're like, oh my God, and so she and I became friends. We weren't romantically involved for a long time, but when I circled back around and said, I think I'm ready to get married, and we were still friends, I was ready to marry her, but I didn't want to marry anyone else, and that's what I told her. I said, I didn't marry you because I wanted to get married. I married you because you're you. And so I think that's really fascinating, and it's the kind of feeling that you only understand if you've had it. If you haven't had it yet, it doesn't even make any sense.
But when I finally met him, what was I doing?
Picking leaves off a tree.
I was picking these leaves. Don't ask me why. And we were talking, and in my mind, I was saying, and why did I say I wanted to marry him? I leaves off the tree. But
I love it.
Going back to when we went home to get married, my uncle talked us into going, so we went to get married. And so my dad, we came home, introduced, and my dad said to you,
he said so many things I can't repeat those.
He called him the N-word.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
My name was not Al for a long time. Trust me.
Wow. So your dad just had a lot of hostility there. How old were you all at that time?
He was very hostile.
19 and 20.
Okay. So they think y'all were too young, maybe?
No, I don't think it was age. I think that my father-in-law took me down into his basement there. and we're sitting drinking some beverages and just chilling. And he started telling me that he was a load master in the military, and he went all over the world. That he did. And he told me, he gave me the ride at. He said, you know, I've been all over the world, which he had, and various countries and places. He said, I know people in all those places. If you don't treat my daughter right, I will deal with you. I'm cleaning it up, but
you ain't got to clean it up for me though. But I get it. I get it.
He was and it was, he went on and he said, you don't abuse my daughter, you don't beat on her. If you don't want her, just send her back to me. And he said a couple of times, and then the last time he said it, I said, well, sir, even if I send her back, you still gonna be mad as hell. He looked at me and it's like, he goes upstairs and talked to my mother-in-law. He said, babe, Mel, did you hear that? Did you hear that? What he said to me? He said, I heard it. She started laughing. After that, we were better. But my mother-in-law, she was the sweetest. She greeted me and hugged me the first time I laid eyes on her. And matter of fact, I'm mom now. And I've been calling her mom ever since. I said, what do I call you? I can't call you by your first name.
Wow. Wow.
He wasn't allowed to stay at the house. The next morning, my dad had him shipped off to his best man, who he didn't know. He had him go over to these other people's house that he didn't know, just stay with them until we were actually getting married. But he did win brownie points with my dad because I had lost my engagement ring. Now, remember, we were two broke little airmen. So if you bought an engagement ring and, you know, you don't have no money for 2 weeks. I lost my ring. I don't know where I lost it at. And I was crying and crying and crying. And then he said to me,
you
said,
I said, well, baby, if you want another one, I'll buy you another one. And I didn't.
He didn't get mad or nothing. And he won some brownie points with my dad and with me, of course. But
my father-in-law said, hey, man, she lost that ring. You can't find it. I'll buy her another one.
Wow.
But Dr. Boyce, here's the thing that you don't know is that when we decided to get married, I took on a second job. I was an airman. I was only making $349 a month in the air. That was it.
Wow.
That's a month. So I took washing dishes at the NCO club, and then the manager saw how I would work. She made me a backup cook, making more money. And then after that, she made me a duty manager because I was about business. I could be. So they gave me the keys to the castle, so to speak. So, and I worked and I saved every penny. So I had money. I didn't have no credit card. I wasn't in debt or nothing. So when we went back to New York to just get married and fly back to Germany, and her uncle had to countersign my checks because I didn't have credit card to buy tickets. Gave me enough money to get to Idaho. But that was a good one.
Wow. Well, I love that. I love that. And everybody, in case you don't know, Alfred and Sharon Dixon are this is the latest couple. It's our fourth couple that we are analyzing. Well, not that you're not like lab rats or nothing, but we're analyzing your perspective on how you were able to make 42 years of marriage. And this is all part of a new film project we just finished, directed by Tiara KJ Williams. The latest installment is called Til Death Do Us Part. It's part of a series we've been doing for 5 years now called The Black Love Blueprint. And we're very serious about this because, as I mentioned to all of you, that there's no community. We always talk about wealth and stuff like that and building and success. But there's no community out here, everybody. I want you to make sure you understand this. There's no community where you can have wealth and power without family. If you don't have good families, and nothing works. And a lot of us didn't get a chance to grow up seeing that. So I figured that we would just create a family right here and really get some good examples that we can learn from, because the choices I made were driven by my examples. So let me ask this. This will be I guess the last point we can talk about today is, so Mr. and Mrs. Dixon, if you were to start with you, Mrs. Dixon, and then you, Mr. Dixon, you can close us out. If you were to, if I was, say, a young couple and I was trying to figure out how to make it work, pick the right partner and make it last, things like that. What are some first things that come to your mind, Mrs. Dixon, that I should remember if I say I want to be like you, I want 42 years and counting one day? What would you say to somebody in that situation?
Well, first, I say you have to like the person. You have to be committed. When you say that you're going to get married and you stand before God and others, that is the utmost. Because what you do, a couple, affects everybody around you, whether you stay together or you divorce. It's so much bigger than you when you get married, so much bigger than you as a couple. My mother gave me two advices. My mother said, no matter how mad I get, do not get out of my bed and do not kick my husband out of my bed, because somewhere during the night you roll back over together and you touch and you like reach out for each other. I'm a person that is mad. I'm a very forgiving person. So I say my piece and then we just move on. And I don't know, we always laugh, you know. For instance, he thought I was mad at him, so he made pancakes Sunday morning for me, even though they were terrible. But they're my favorite. And so he made them. He said, well, I'm apologizing, and I made your favorite pancakes. And then I tasted them and I threw them in the trash and I tried to, but but anyway, the other thing is, no matter how mad I got at my husband or whatever, because I don't never really get mad, but I never kicked him out. I never said, get out of the house, go somewhere. I never did that. We're going to stay together and you know, we're going to talk about it. And we try not to talk in the heat of the moment. We learn to say, okay, we're not getting this together. Let's just let this settle. The other thing I would say is pray together. You know, when you stand before God, we pray together every morning as a couple. And when you pray together, you find out really what's deep on his mind that he may not have told you, you know, ready to talk to you about it yet, but he prays about it. And so I said, oh, okay, that's what's going on, you know. So we pray together each morning. With each other, and I find that that is very helpful because you are communicating, even if it's small things, that talk about those small things, you know, because if you don't talk about small things, they become big things. Not that analogy about, you know, the lady's purse. Your purse starts out light, but by the end of the week it's so heavy, and you keep saying, I'm going to clean it out, I'm going to clean it out, and you don't. The next thing, your shoulder is hurting. Then you say, gosh, I got to clean out that purse. And then once your shoulder is really bothering you, then you start to clean out your purse, but you already got the ache and the pain. Or if you cleaned it out or talked about it before.
Wow. That is really great information. I wrote this down. And I want everybody listening. First of all, everybody just give a digital applause to Professor Dixon, because she just laid out a masterclass for y'all. And Mr. Dixon, I definitely want to hear your point of view. I just want to pause on that because a lot of the things that she just said are things that relationship therapists say. I am married to a therapist, and I'm telling y'all, she just gave y'all a masterclass. If you take this information, if y'all were taking notes, I guarantee you're going to see a 20-30% uptick in the quality of your relationships, particularly your romantic relationships, well, really all of them. She said, it's bigger than you. So all these people out here telling you that your relationships are about your feelings and what you want and all this other stuff, that's not good advice. That's unfortunate. That teaches selfishness. Selfishness is not good when you're working with a group of people. 2, she said that because it's bigger than you, what you do affects everyone around you, starting with your kids. Now we didn't get a chance to even talk about the children. I wish I could ask you more about that, but our time is short, and I apologize. But Thursday night we're gonna dig into all of that, and I want everybody to show up. blackmovienight.net. I'll give you all the URL. 3, she said, you don't talk about stuff in the heat of the moment. Sometimes you get mad and you want to blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what happens? My therapist explained this. Yes, I do have a therapist. We all need a therapist, because I'm sorry, Black people, we crazy, all of us. Not all of us. 80-90% of us are. Y'all know it. And so one thing he explained to me is, when you are in an argument, your heart rate elevates, and you get to the point where nobody's hearing anything. So that's when you calm down, go to your respective corners, and then you come back later on. Write that down, everybody. She also talked about things like communication, and oh my God, this was great. So thank you. And I can't wait to hear more on Thursday. So Mr. Dixon, your turn, sir. What advice would you get? You know, and it's not a competition at all, but I definitely want to make sure you're heard, and I'm gonna let you actually close us out. And I apologize if I talk too much, because y'all are the master teachers right now. What advice would you give young people that are trying to make it last, make it work? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I'll say this with a smile on my face: marry a smart woman.
There you go. Check. Yes.
But she's right about several things. I can be difficult, not difficult to be abusive or anything like that. But she gave me probably ultimate accolades with the children. They asked her years ago when they were teenagers, said, "Mom, why did you marry him?" Because I was trying to teach them. It was a teachable moment for my two young men, and they said, "Why do you marry him? And he's always this and he's always that. He's always fussing." He said, "Well, let me tell you something. Yeah, your dad is a good man. You've never seen him beat on me or do anything like that. Have you ever had a hungry day? Do you have nice clothes? Does he provide for you? Do you know that he always puts himself last, so you will have first? Don't you know that your dad, my husband, would give his life to keep us safe?" And they said, "You mean dad would do that?" She said, "Your dad, my husband, would do just that." And she's right. I like her. I love her. And there's nothing the kids could ask me. I might fuss, but even though I fuss, they know that I will give them my very last. And that's important. I mean, even to the point that there are some things that go wrong, but my wife talk about prayer, because there's some years that I was like, "Don't pray for me. You pray for yourself." Jeremiah 29:11, one more time, I'm gonna blow a head gasket. But she never stopped praying for me.
Wow. Well, I love it. I think this is great. And I cannot wait to hear more of your story. Thursday night, everybody. These are the Dixons, and they are the latest stars in our film, which is called Till Death Do Us Part, directed by Tiara KJ Williams. It's the latest extension in the Black Love Blueprint series. We've already done part 1, part 2. Part 3 is Till Death Do Us Part, because we want to support you in your goal of living a happy life, which starts with healthy relationships. If you ever want to be unhappy, give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about here. If you ever want to be unhappy, just go have a bunch of terrible relationships. That's your secret to unhappiness. So relationship management is very important for anybody that wants to have a healthy, happy, successful life. So Thursday night, August 12th, Thursday night, August 12th, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to watch the 4th part of our new film. It is free if you come live. It is not free if you don't come live, but if you come live, it is totally free. And after the film, we're going to talk to the director. We're going to bring back the Dixons so they can finish this masterclass, because I can tell they got so much more that they can share. And we're going to pick your brain. We really want to. And third, my wife, Dr. Alicia, who is a licensed therapist and full professor of social work. She's a smart woman. So Mr. Dixon and I, that's one area we agree: marry a smart woman. And so that's why I wrote that down too. She's going to be there also to provide context and perspective. So feel free to join us. Register at blackmovienight.net. And I want to say thank you very much to Mr. and Mrs. Dixon. Everybody, please thank them in the chat for sharing, because I can only imagine it must be a little awkward to tell everybody your story. How's that been feeling for you?
I think it's great. I think the more we share, the more we learn. And I'm a school teacher, so I'm all about, we are lifetime learners. And I
love it.
Learn.
Well, we're learning so much from you, and we appreciate you being honest, because I know sometimes it's a little bit awkward to go out and to be teaching others, because then you start to, I don't know about everybody else, but I can imagine sometimes we feel a pressure like, well, I'm not perfect. My life, I got some stuff that I haven't done right. but you know, that's the thing. We're the best we've got, and we're all we need. You know, so even that parent or that person who you know, who doesn't feel that they're qualified to mentor another person, just do your best. You know, even if it means telling them, don't do what I did. You know, do y'all know how many great lessons I learned from uncles who, you know, maybe were addicted to drugs, alcoholics, messed up life, but they said, hey, boy, don't do what I did. And I'm like, okay, yes, sir. Right? You can change somebody's life with a sentence like that, you know. So go ahead. So everybody embrace that. I think that this is what we need. We are the best teachers that we have, and so I honor you. I really want to say thank you all to Mr. and Mrs. Dixon. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Okay, we'll see you on Thursday.
All right. And so everybody, please hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thumbs up, share, subscribe button. If you want to join us Thursday, you can watch the movie for free. The movie's about 20 minutes, and after that, we're gonna have another deeper conversation about relationships and literally lay it all out. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, if Black family is something that inspires you, join us. You can register at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. God bless everybody. Please take care, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.